Oh yeah, you're right. I actually kept that there for a reason. We also put a spiffo and a doll on it because, you know, we've got all the bladed part of our bed sort, but we needed a little bit of, you know, snuggles. It's just proper. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, I got a helmet right here. Yeah, that should help. Yep, we are currently clearing the roads on the way to Rosewood. And the reason I run outside the doors like that is just in case some cheeky zombie wanders in and stands right at the door. We've had that, not this playthrough, but other playthroughs. If I run and there's a zombie all by themselves there, we'll just bully it out of the way and be done with it. So, I don't have any mods that are increasing loot. We are just on default apocalypse loot. The thing you gotta keep in mind is I have killed 41,000 zombies. So you might be thinking, oh yeah, you know, after I've been playing for 9 months and some odd days, I usually find 1 or 2 katanas. So if you think about it, if I'm killing 16 times as many zombies in my world that you would, by comparison, at the same duration of time, I should see 16 times more of all the things zombies drop. Zombies drop katanas, so you get the idea of how that works out. And that's obviously an oversimplification, you know, you might be killing zombies at a very fast rate for your zombie population, whatever, like that's all fair. But basically, I'm just killing a hell of a lot of zombies. A ridiculously, absolutely ludicrous number of zombies. And as a result, I get a lot more stuff that zombies drop. The downside is I got a lot less stuff that zombies don't drop because it takes me forever to get, like, into places. And we are probably going to get stormed out later today. And you notice I am going towards the center road. That's because those trees are on the side there, and trees are the real enemy. That's where the dangerous zombies come from, all that stuff. As example, Exhibit A right here, this lady, sneaking out of the trees. Oh yeah, you can have that. I don't know exactly which stats matter. I believe nimble matters to it, as well as maybe your weapon type does. But sometimes when a zombie goes to grab you, and I don't believe this works from behind, but from like the front, instead of you actually getting hurt, your character will grab the zombie and like two-handed shove them off. And that's just like the RNG deciding, you know what, you get to live this day. Let's see. R4K saying, I really appreciate your knowledge of the game, Raw Storage. It's great to see a skilled players streaming. I'm glad I got introduced to you today. Thank you, I really do appreciate it. Oh yeah, no, it'll happen as well, Rubuffet. Like, we've had twice, Rack, gotcha. We've had twice where I've gotten close calls. This vehicle is not one, but as you can see, like, most of my characters blocked off. We had a box truck that fully blocks off zombie, and this zombie's gonna be kind enough to, you know, cooperate with me. So yeah, as you can see, fall over, come on, don't make this weird, man. So as you can see, a zombie can be completely hidden behind your vehicle that you're blissfully unaware of, and it's still a danger to you. In this case, it's fallen over, so it's not. But like the big box vans and ambulances are tall enough that you can walk up to your van, think you're safe, and there's just a cheeky zombie right here. You, the player, can't see it, your character should see it. You walk up, you get around like here, the zombie turns around to grab you, and you try and panic and run away, but there's just no time. We've had that happen twice this playthrough. Luckily, tailoring is extraordinarily powerful, and we were at like 8 tailoring at that point, and so they just ripped holes in our shirt, and we got away unscathed. But there's a reason I stopped using the box van entirely, is because after 2 times getting almost caught like that, because there isn't a really good counterplay. If I yell, I'm drawing all the zombies around. Remembering to, like, you can park so your car is facing straight up and down, but you can imagine, you know, parking your car straight up and down on narrow roads that aren't straight up and down roads is a pain. All that kind of stuff gets super annoying. Darshar being like, hope to see you again. It's like, yes, yes, thank you. Yes, we would like to see you again. Please return. I am on my push towards partner and all that, so I definitely like when more people show up. Because slowly climbing that average viewers, rating, which is the bottleneck for whether you're going for affiliate or partner or whatever, average viewers is usually the hardest milestone to get over. Which, for those who aren't familiar, to get any type of compensation through Twitch from to have the availability of subs, bits, all that kind of stuff, you have to get an average viewership of 5 viewers. So that means the whole time you're streaming, on average, come down to about 5 viewers. And then partner makes other stuff available. I don't even know all the stuff. More emotes, all that kind of crap. But it requires 75. And we are getting close. Like, I've been half tempted to do, like, and this is something I need to talk to my wife about before I actually say anything, but, like, doing a 24-hour stream at some point. Just trying to, like, get as much viewers as possible in there to try and push us over. I see those zombies back there, but I don't want to go climb through the trees. Trees are the real enemy. They'll come out to greet us sooner or later as much as we drive around. Eventually I'll start actually honking my horn on the way back and forth. But for the new emotes, I actually mentioned what they were once before way back, but for most people probably won't remember them. The one of the new emotes is, when we refer to sirens on this channel, we refer to them as wee-woos. I don't know why, we just do. So for rating and being rating, we are adding a wee-woo emote. It's probably the silliest and most cartoony of all the emotes I've had made so far. Because the person's like, here, I can do this one that's like kind of serious where it's just like a siren on the hat or whatever. Or we can make this ridiculous one. I'm like, you know what? Let's do the ridiculous one. We need a ridiculous emote. Just something to be silly. But yeah, as we keep doing this, we'll see less and less zombies on this route to kill. Eventually you get to the point you just won't see bodies on the road anymore at all, as just the nearby zombies that keep filling in where these zombies are disappearing from die. Bunch of people showing off the emotes, which makes me happy, because I've been super happy with the artist that makes them. I also may or may not have gotten some of my own merch. Don't judge me. Because it's adorable and I love it. Then I also wanted to actually get a hold of some of the merch to be like, if it would have gone, it would have been like absolute crap quality. I would have, pulled it back down and not had it. But I've been happy with it. Rufit says, my dogs are going bonkers, and as a result, I am going bonkers. That is fair. Now the question is, are the dogs going more bonkers because you're going bonkers? And then is that causing you to go more bonkers because they're going more bonkers? Is this like some self-feeding loop? Feedback loop that's just going to keep escalating until finally someone can't excel, bring it up even higher. Yeah, we got a posture check going. You know what? I'm actually going to do this. even though I am very comfy at the moment. Yeah, and I've actually been doing this a bit. Mostly, like, I switched out my chairs the other day, or today, I should say. As I mentioned previously, I am on sabbatical now. Like, I was working on doing interactive courses that teach software development, and I stepped away from that, just taking a break from all that for a while, because I've been working full-time / with many, many jobs at a time, a whole bunch of different times in my life for over 20 years. I'm like, you know what, I just want break, and then plus I can just take all the time I want looking for exactly whatever I want for my next job, because I like to be very picky, because I can afford to do that with where I'm at in my career. But, so I did have what was my office here at the house, is what's become my streaming room not too long ago. Let me catch up with chat. So my streaming desk, so I like moved all my streaming stuff in here, but I still had like my computer I was using for work, which I actually didn't sit in very often. And while it looks like this other chair I have here, like the other chair is like a DX Racer and this one's a Muso. And the DX Racer, it's got no butt. It gets really sore after a while sitting in it. So I started actually doing the standing more because to get out of the chair. Let's see. So Lulu's asking, is a standing desk that amazing? I bought a cheap desk for my apartment. I didn't really know if it's worth it. So one thing I would say when it comes to ergonomics, a sitting desk or a standing desk, you're not winning in either case. Because kind of the rule of thumb that I kind of had brought to me by people who deal with ergonomics who are far more knowledgeable than I am, is the best play to be sitting at your desk is the way you haven't been sitting at your desk for the last 15 minutes. So if you are going to get a standing desk, you want a sit-stand desk that, like I did here just a minute ago, it's like, okay, well, we've been sitting a while, let's stand. All right, once I'm standing a little while, let's sit back down. It's staying in one spot for a long period of time is something that the human body was not evolved to do. It's not a natural thing. So kind of mixing it up is much better for you because, like, when you sit, you know, you have circulation problems potentially happening in your legs from where, like, the edge of the chair is going in. You have all that kind of stuff. When you stand for a long time, it can be problematic for your knees as well as your thigh joints and your ankles if you do that for way longer. So it's good to kind of mix it up to mitigate a lot of those problems. But so if you do look at like a sit-stand desk, and I don't know what brand this is, it's not Autodesk. I keep saying that, but that's a different company. But like, it's make sure it's one that can raise and lower to whatever heights you need. To like, you want your desk to line up when you have your arms by your side, so it's at the bottom of your like elbow. Like, that is the correct height. You can find entire documents that give you the exact like angle your legs and arms should be. And I did not remove any mods last Gunslinger. I've just hidden them for the moment. I was in a Royale with Cheese's stream before we started, and, you know, me and him were talking about, like, using the short blades and all that, and he was saying, you know, I feel like those mods you use actually really help out with you using your short blades. And I'm like, you know, I mean, I'm not going to say they don't, because that would be misleading. That would be incorrect. But I don't feel like I lean on them as much as you'd think. So I went ahead and turned off what I could. So they're still enabled because I don't feel comfortable removing and adding mods mid-playthrough. I worry that would like corrupt a save file or whatever. But yeah. But I have turned them off. And I would say the thing, and this is the same comment I made to him, I feel like I don't watch the stamina as closely now that we've got established. It's sleepiness. When we're getting close to drowsy, that's the thing I do watch very closely. Because I want to be backing up before we get drowsy. But yeah. Zauberfish says, IKEA actually makes an affordably acceptable good sit-stand. Yeah, I've heard that. I remember, I can't remember what the name of it is. I know a number of people have gotten that one. And they'll be like, this is a no-frills desk, but like, it works. It's not terrible. And I mean, as long as it gets you to the right heights and you use it, cool. If you're a particularly tall or a particularly short person, make sure you look at what the maximum heights and lower heights are of the desk. And if you have a full-size computer tower, like a server-style tower or whatever, make sure you check what the clearance underneath the desk is. Because, like in my case, I actually put my computer on top of my desk. I do that more for cable lengths than for that. But my old tower, before I got my new computer, I couldn't have it under the desk because the tower was tall enough that, you know, the desk would actually bump into it if I tried to lower it the whole way. So I had to move the tower to a different location. Ruben Fate says, my Adobe teacher has these tall desk chairs that you can sit at and stand and still be at the same level at the monitor. Yep. I mean, most of the time when you're sitting and standing, the monitor height isn't too bad of an issue, so as long as you got lined up right. Usually the height you want your monitor is that when you look straight at your monitor, you are looking at the top of the bezel. So like, here's like the bezel on my monitor is like, I mean, it's where the camera is the top of the bezel. Because looking up is really bad for you, looking down is not as bad for you. Long term. Like looking up, you'll get an absolute terrible crick in your neck. Now, that said, you also don't want to look down too far, but that's the idea for height, what you want. You'll be looking kind of like, not necessarily like right at the plastic, like right kind of at the top of the screen part. Next level tabletop says, I'm in a game for a bit, thanks for the stream, see ya all soon. And thank you for tuning in, next level tabletop. I do appreciate it, and I hope to see you again. Yeah, I do put in a lot of effort. Like you'll notice we do our stretches. The stretches I do are called median glide stretches. And all they are is there's the median nerve that goes through your carpal tunnel in your wrist. That's when you get carpal tunnel syndrome, and you know what? There's a stretch. That's perfectly timing. I'm just going to deal with these zombies, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. And anyone who wants to follow through with the stretches, you're welcome to. No obligations. The same. I've had a bunch of people like, oh, like I'll do push-ups the same time you do. Cool. Like doing what's healthy, awesome. You don't have to. No obligations. Purely voluntary. I don't pressure anyone into it. If you do try and follow me with the push-ups, keep in mind if you haven't done them in for absolutely ever, maybe don't just go all the way for them. Maybe do half as many or something. But give me one moment and I'll show you a couple median glide stretches. There are dozens and dozens and dozens of types of these, but there's one or two I do because I can do them conveniently at the desk and they don't look absolutely ridiculous, because a lot of the median glide stretches do look absolutely ridiculous. Zayden says, I'm here to chew bubblegum and farm push-ups, and I'm all out of bubblegum. And if that was your second redemption of push-ups, then you're all out of push-ups too. I think that was your first, though. That said, we only have 4 redemptions for push-ups left for the stream, because, once again, people are on top of it. Oh yeah. And if you look up median nerves, or median, I think it's median nerve stretches, or median nerve glides, I'm sorry. There are many, many of them. I will warn you, a bunch of them look really, really ridiculous. They work really well, but if you do it in public, you're going to be like, please stop staring at me. I'm trying to take care of my body. But that's also a good thing, because then you can be like, hey, this is why I'm doing this. It's good for my wrists. You should do it too. Because one of the catches you run into is with a bunch of those stretches, they're trying to target very specific parts of those ligaments and muscles to make sure you stretch all of it. Because, again, it works like a crane, where you've got the ligaments go up to the tips of your fingers and then all the way down to your elbow. And it's very difficult to find a stretch that handles the whole muscle. There just isn't one that I've seen. So you'll like position your arm in one case to do like the tips of the fingers. You'll position your arm differently to get like the wrist. You'll position your arm differently to get, you know, kind of the meaty part of your elbow. And then you'll try and, you know, get the elbow itself. We just got 2 fire axes back to back. Come on, game. I have like, I think we're up to almost 20 of these now, just sitting in storage. But yeah, so like you'll do weird stuff, like they have one where you put your arms like straight out like this, and then you'll turn your wrists up like this, and you just kind of go like that back and forth, with each side doing the opposite, and it looks like the weirdest, like you're trying to do like the Egyptian dance and just being really bad at it. And it's just, there's funny ones, or you have ones where you shake your wrist back and forth, and it's one of those ones like, look, it's good for me. I know it looks absurd. But yeah, you do it, like, and it's nice because you actually usually feel pretty good. Don't put it there. That's a body. You usually feel like pretty good, like right after you do it too, where it's like, oh, like my wrists already feel a little bit better. Just because you're kind of limbering them up. Now, it said, if you're already at the point you're hurting from like carpal tunnel, meridian nerve compression, not meridian, median nerve compression, that kind of stuff, probably consult with a doctor before you do those stretches, because you might want to wait till you're healed up before you do. And as a reminder, I am not a doctor. If you need medical advice, talk to a doctor. But anyone who's done any type of like physical therapy, 90% of the exercises they do to help you out feel absolutely absurd, but then you do them, you're like, oh, this... Well, either A, it'll feel really good afterwards, or you'll feel like all limbered up, or B, you'll be like, ow, everything hurts, this bone, like this joint hasn't worked in this way in a while because it's been broken for a while, and, you know, getting it back into shape feels awful, and you feel weak, and all that, and you get there. Alright, that zombie's coming out. But it's good to make sure you do that stuff, otherwise your recovery takes forever. I mean, a lot of those exercises are just about getting blood flow to those places, too, because that can help with the healing process. It's one of the very frustrating things when you're trying to deal with, like, I had a median nerve compression, which is basically, you're not to carpal tunnel yet, but you're at that first thing that, like that first step towards carpal tunnel syndrome, which is the reason I, like, really ramped up my efforts to make sure I'm taking care of myself. And you're just like, alright, what do I do to fix this? And you'll get directly conflicting information. We're like, oh, you should put on cool pads to help bring down the inflammation. No, you shouldn't use cool pads. Those are bad for it. You should use hot pads to help blood flow for the healing. No, you shouldn't do that. That agitates inflammation. You're like, but what's the right answer? I don't care your argument. I just want to know what I need to do to feel better. And I shouldn't say feel better, to be better. I am someone who's down to absolutely deal with the wrath of the worst symptoms, if in the other side it fixes the problem. Like, I would 100% be the person that if you gave me a pill that says, okay, you're going to have all your flu symptoms at the same time, like, but you're going to be over in a day, I would be, give it to me. I will be misery on earth for a day if it means I only deal with this for one day as opposed to 7. Alright, so tomorrow we have thick fog and a severe storm. So tomorrow is going to be a not fighting zombie day. Tomorrow is going to be find a skill and work on it day. I honestly don't know. I haven't been using beta blockers, but I should still collect them. It's just as you play, the rate your character can drop out of being panicked is way faster. And I think the cap is at like 120 days when you hit like the max. And so we're at the point, like, I will look at like 200 zombies, my character will escalate gradually to like absolute extreme panic, and then I turn around and take 10 steps away and my character's like, I'm cool, it's fine. What was happening back there? It's in the past. And so I almost, like, about the only time I'd probably take beta blockers right now is, one, if I know I'm just going to be in an absolute slog of a fight for a long period of time, I would take them. Or if I was going to use a gun at all, because you have to face the zombies to use the gun for long periods of time, which causes your character to panic, and when you panic you do crap for damage with guns. Which makes sense, because if you're using a gun, your character's going like this because they're extreme panic, they're going to just not do anything. Rubafate says, I can't wait till they add more cars to PZ, especially those with more functionality like RVs. But then again, I'm a car nerd, so that's a bit of a bias. I mean, fair. I actually haven't heard anything about more cars, but that said, I also haven't looked to see if they said anything about more cars, so who knows? I probably don't need to worry about towing this car. Generally speaking, though, I do just get the cars off the road as I have the opportunity. Because you never want to actually be driving around and go, well, let me just hit this car at 50 miles an hour. Oh, look, now we're severely injured and our car's all busted up. Good times. So I take the time to move them as I can. Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if they added more cars. Trying to think, like... So they've got cars that, they're non-specific, like there's the the sedans they have, you know, they could be like an Oldsmobile, they could be, you know, a Lincoln. It's something in that area. You've got your coupes, which could be like, you know, Honda Civic hatchback, or, you know, was it a Ford Pinto was the little one? But a bunch of the other ones. Let's see. Arufit says, oh, by the way, some news in my life, Rawl. I'm looking at entering the automotive community college courses during my senior year. Cool. This is something I wish State of Decay. The ability to clear the road blockades of crashes. Yes. State of Decay 2. I need to play State of Decay 2 more. Oh yeah, so yeah, and we actually got over 41,000 last night. Or I guess technically this morning, but last night. I can show the skills here in a moment. Oh yeah, State of Decay, like, I really was big into State of Decay 1, and I just never got into State of Decay 2. Like, I started playing, it's like, this is good, but it was one of those times that I had like 8 different games I was trying to play at the same time, and some had to make it, and, you know, didn't get it. Yep, we all sit Nimble 5. So yeah, at this point we are at 6 fitness, about almost 2/3 of the way towards 7. We're a little bit over halfway to 9 strength, or sorry, 8 strength. We are at Nimble 5. It just happened, so we got like no real progress towards more Nimble. None of the other agility skills are relevant to anything. Most of our combat skills are at 7 at this point, with some getting pretty close to 8. Our carpentry, our cooking, and our tailoring are at 10. Our farming, which I need to read the book now look at, is at 8. And then we've got our mechanic and metalworking at 5, our electrical at 4. Aiming and reloading are still at 5 and 4. We basically haven't done anything in that since like month 2. And then fishing and foraging are making decent progress towards 4, but mostly I've been neglecting our survivalist skills. Pancro says the devs are still doing updates. It's still very active. Excellent. I'm trying to remember, like, there was something... Oh, I think it was... At the time I played State of Decay 2, there was some funky performance stuff going on. I couldn't remember. There was something that was like, okay, this is something they'll surely iron out, but it was like right when it launched, and I played just a little bit. Sleepyhead Dream says, it would be cool if you could have a community of survivors and switch between them in Zomboid like State of Decay 2. That might be interesting. I personally, and this is, you know, I just have a personal thing where I really like the lone survivor thing, where it's like, you know, what else can we do? It's like, no, there's nothing. You're the lone survivor. Like, there isn't anyone else out there, kind of thing. I know when they bring the NPCs back, that's going to go away, and I get it, and that's a me problem. And I'm sure in the sandbox I'll be able to just turn it off, so whatever. Let's see. Let's see. Yeah. They were discussing that there's like too many games to play at the same time, kind of thing. That you can't. Oh yeah, that is absolutely what they're talking about, is like Mass Effect releasing and being an absolute disaster when it came out, or, you know, you have games like No Man's Sky, who, you know, it was not even a bad game when it came out, but it was not the game that was advertised, if you will. So yeah, that happens a lot, and I am very tired of that kind of thing. Oh yeah, absolutely. I haven't played since their last couple of updates, but like for one, I actually liked No Man's Sky when it came out, but I never bought into the hype to begin with because, you know, I was burned by like getting the SimCity that EA made. You know, like that was my last pre-order game that I can think of, was the getting that SimCity, and after that experience, I'm like, I'm never pre-ordering a game again. And like, I've actually gotten to the point, if a game offers exclusives if you pre-order, a lot of times I will never buy the game. Like, I just won't. It's like, it's one thing if it's like a soundtrack or something no one cares about, but if like it's an in-game item or something that gives you an advantage or whatever, I will never buy the game if it has that as a pre-order thing. Because I'm like, you're basically forcing me to buy the game before anyone's done a review to let you know if the game's even any good. And then almost always it'll be like, well, you have to return the game within 20 days of purchase when you pre-order it like 6 months in advance or whatever. And that you can only play the game for like up to 2 hours and be able to refund it, which of course, getting past your tutorial is over 2 hours. That kind of crap. So I am one, when a new game comes out, I will usually wait a week or 2 weeks or whatever, and then I'll pick it up if the reviews are good. Like, I'll wait till all the newspaper reviews are said and done, and like people who are actually just gonna play the game, get their hands on it, play for a little while. You know, some people start getting to like end game and feeling out what's there, and then see what people think. Because there's also been a lot of times, and this is one that Fallout 76 is guilty of, where they're like, oh yeah, the microtransactions, don't worry, they won't be predatory, that won't be a problem. And it took them like a month, they're like, yeah, you know what we're going to do? We're just going to go ahead and forget all that, and how would you feel about your storage being tied to microtransactions? I don't know if that's changed, by the way. It could be way better now. I've heard it's way better now, but I haven't played in a while. Actually, when I did get the game, knowing a bunch of that, I did enjoy that. I mean, that's a Bethesda title. Bethesda and bugs are synonymous. Yeah, Rubefe was saying, you know, the one thing that keeps me off of 76 is not the bugs, it's the fact it's multiplayer. And that's kind of the comment I made when we last talked about Fallout 76 in here, is I feel Fallout 76 wasn't necessarily a bad game within itself. I feel Fallout 76 was a bad Fallout game. If it wasn't the Fallout IP, it probably would not be nearly as bad, but the Fallout IP comes with certain expectations, which Fallout 76 does not align with, in my opinion. Yeah, no, unfortunately, Lulu, like, it's the same thing where you hear about so many of the sports games where it's the same game gets re-released and they just replace some names with whatever the new players are, and otherwise nothing changes. Maybe they, like, put some spit polish on it kind of thing, and then they resell it again and again, and they keep selling it again and again, and people go, but it's the same game, like, this, you didn't do anything meaningful to change the game. It's like, yeah, like the last 20 times you didn't meaningfully change the game. How is this a surprise to you? And you kind of like want to yell at the companies for it, but at the same time you look at it, it's like, well, they keep doing it, and people keep buying and spending their money, so we keep incentivizing the companies to not give a crap, because they're like, hey, well, you complain, but then you buy it anyways. So until we get enough people to not do it, it is going to continue being a thing. It's like they're doing things that are shady, but there's just not consequences. Let's see. I Can't Kill Anymore says, Bethesda is never going to be able to make a proper Fallout. Fallout 3 was their best attempt, and it was okay. Shame Fallout New Vegas is probably going to be the only one that's good. Whenever I see a dude having to bought FIFA, whatever, I'm like, why though? Yeah, so Fallout 4 I enjoy. I like Fallout 3 and Fallout New Vegas way more. I wouldn't say objectively Fallout 4 was a bad game or anything. But it definitely had things I liked handled differently. Yeah, so they're saying Fallout 4 was a good FPS with RPG elements, but it's a crappy RPG with FPS elements. Yep. So if you're looking for an RPG, it's underwhelming. Like, and that'd actually be one of my biggest complaints about Fallout 76, is from the RPG standpoint, like, they got the card thing, and it doesn't feel particularly meaningful. Like, you can shift around. I get that's a necessity with multiplayer and all that kind of stuff. But, like, to me, that doesn't feel like an RPG where I've invested my time into a character, grown them, and made them something specific. I mean, if you're talking about Fallout 3 nowadays, I have no idea by comparison to how games have changed over the years. I couldn't answer that. I know when it came out, you know, I had a really good time with it. I still liked Fallout 2 more. I still liked Fallout Original more. I still liked Fallout Tactics more, because I was more looking for the RPG heavy side of it. But, you know, all things considered, I definitely had been through worse games that, you know, had hopped genres. Oh, I got you. So you're saying you're dealing with tons of stability issues. Huh. I've never had stability issues with Fallout 3, or any of the Fallout titles for that much. Not that I've not had their games not crash. Like, it's Bethesda, you know. The game's going to crash. Like, that, you just accept that when you load the game. It's Bethesda. Which is one of those things. I am curious, now that Bethesda been acquired with Microsoft, who does have a pretty decent track record as far as the quality of their games and all that. I am pretty curious when you have the next game that starts from scratch, like it's not already in development before Microsoft did the acquisition, like how much that'll change. Like if we'll see a significant bump in quality, if like what'll change there. Let's see. Sometimes I want to play Fallout 3. I'll download Fallout New Vegas, and I'm not recognizing TTW. Oh, it's a mod or whatever. Gotcha. Penner says, OG Fallout 3 had an F-ton of issues, in no small part to feeling about how integrated Windows Game Store was before during the time Microsoft didn't bridge yet to Microsoft, aka Windows games didn't even exist at, you know, as far as I know, Windows games doesn't exist anymore. Yeah, the Windows Game Store became the Xbox Store thing, so it's a bit thing. Yeah, I remember that being a thing. So Microsoft doesn't, so this is the thing with Microsoft. If you're talking about going on the PlayStation, yeah, there's been a lot of times that they've not dropped games for PlayStation and Xbox that are Microsoft ties. But Microsoft has been really good about making the game available for Windows, making the game available for Xbox, and making the game available for, like, Linux and Mac and whatever. Like, I've seen pretty good stuff there. And I'm sure people on Windows or on Mac and Linux could correct me if I'm wrong. That said, not including PlayStation absolutely happens. But to be fair, when you look at PlayStation, they're all about their exclusives as well, so that's unfortunately just the nature of the market these days. Like, I severely dislike the whole exclusive thing. And I do get it from, you know, the game dev side. If I implement all the APIs to support achievements and the community stuff and all that for Xbox, and then I have to do that all over again for PlayStation and all over again for, you know, Nintendo platforms and all over again for Steam and all that kind of stuff. I do get where that gets frustrating and tiresome to basically have 4 different versions of the same functionality in your code base. That depending on whether you're making your executables for platform A, B, or C, you use different logic. Because that gets annoying because you're effectively, you know, re-implementing the same thing again and again. And I understand that. Just, I tend to be a lot more forgiving about the Microsoft one specifically because it handles both PC and their Xbox And to me, as a PC gamer, I don't give a crap about what PlayStation supports or Xbox supports or Nintendo supports. Like, I only care that it's supported on PC. So, like, for example, PlayStation has had for the longest time that Bloodborne wouldn't be played on PC ever. And for me, I'm like, okay, I guess I just don't get to play this Souls-like game. That's a bummer. I like Souls-like games. That said, I do believe Bloodborne has or is coming out on PC now, after enough outcry. Could be wrong. That said, exclusives suck. Just period. And we have the same thing even here in the PC world now with like exclusives on Epic for a year and then they come out on Steam, if at all on Steam and that kind of thing. Like, that annoys me to no end. What weapon did you have? Was that a spear? What do you got? Yep, no, you are correct, Lulu. That if I write a game for Windows, well, for Xbox, it usually works on Windows as well. And for that matter, these days, if you're using .NET, which is the programming or the program framework that they put behind a lot of that stuff for the cross-platform, if you make it once and you're using .NET, for the most part, you're already ready for Mac, Linux, Windows, Xbox. I guess if you care, like Lens. Like, it works on all the platforms. I can't say for PlayStation and all that because I have no idea. And neither about Nintendo because I have no idea. But it's, you know, write once, run anywhere. Like, you go into like the dev circles, you'll still have people trash talk Microsoft. They'll be like, "Oh, they only run everything on Windows." It's like, yeah, that's not been a thing for a very long time. Penkor says, Rawl, I want to hear about 2 games from me. Tell me about a game that you end up actually hating, really disliking, whether it's from bugs, bad story, or terrible gameplay, and a game you thought was going to be bad that was better than you expected. Aeon. Aeon is a game that I wanted to like, that came out, and the whole thing, it was as an MMORPG that was like, you had angels and demons that would fight each other, and it was cool, you could fly, you could do that stuff. Oh my god. Oh my god, the level of grind and RNG in that game was the most absurd, stupid thing I'd ever seen in a game. Like, to craft a really good item in the game, so you'd craft it the first time. You'd have to get all these rare materials, you craft it the first time. And you had 3 possible outcomes. 1, you could fail and it just destroys the materials, and you get nothing. 2, you get a minor success, which means you get the item, which in that game means it's garbage. Or 3, you get a major success, which was something like a 5% chance or whatever. And these are materials that you would be lucky if you spent a week, you would farm up like 3 of them. And that's if you got lucky, because it'd only be like one place that dropped at one time per day, and you would be competing with others to get it. And, you know, of course, in those types of things, you'd have groups of people who would effectively block other people from getting it to remove competition. Yeah, Aeon online. I believe that's how it's spelled. It's like Ion or whatever. It'll be the one with the white wings and black winged angels. I don't know if it's still around, and I hope it isn't because it's awful. But not only that, but to get the better item, you then had to take the outcome of that 5%, get a whole nother set of materials, using that item, and do that whole process again with the success. And you had to go like 3 or 4 layers deep of that. So you basically had to have like a 5% on a 5% on a 5% on a 5% just to succeed. And these items were absurdly rare. Yeah, Aeon, spelled A-I-O-N, sounds more right. And it was a terrible game. And it was like the grindiest thing in the world. If you died, it would penalize your XP way down. So like, when you get really high level in Path of Exile, you die, you lose something like 20% of your XP or whatever. It's like that, except if you started at like level 10, it started to feel like level 90 in Path of Exile. That's the level of grind. Like, it was a commitment to gain a level around level 20. And it was infuriating. And then on top of that, like, Combat was no fun with flight, because you couldn't hit each other unless you were one of a very specific set of ranged classes, because the melee was just so jank. Like, it was a terrible game. Like, that is a game I'd be like, no, like, that is a game that you'd sit there and say, hey, we will pay you to play this, and the answer is just solidly no, I would rather not. Like, I would rather spend long hours watching paint dry that's already dry than play that game again. Now, a game that I thought was going to be bad that actually turned out to be pretty alright. Ooh, that's a little difficult because usually I'm very forgiving of games that'll wait till like actually reviews and all that drop beforehand, before I pick them up or anything. So I basically ignore most of the media around stuff before I get into it. I mean, I guess... No. I mean, there's ones like Dota where like people hyped up the game a whole bunch and I had played other MOBAs and then went to play Dota and like, I'm actually really not enjoying this. But I wouldn't say I went into that thinking it was going to be a great game. It's just like, oh, this is a different one? I'm just not really into this one, that's all. I wouldn't say it's like a bad game or anything. I don't know if I do have an uptime command. I have been up for... I do, apparently. I didn't know if I did, but, you know, that happens. And every time I park at the gas pumps, I do loop around, see if there's any zombies around. Because when you go to refuel, you are very vulnerable, so you know. And the reason you're vulnerable, if you look, I can't see anything on this side. I can't see, like, even my keen hearing is, like, obscured. So, like, I am totally blind behind me. So it is very dangerous and very easy for a zombie to just sneak up and grab you. Yeah, and that's kind of the same thing with me, Pankraru. It's not that I won't get a game when it comes out. Usually I have to be extremely confident that that game is going to be good, and I don't usually hit that level of confidence with most games. Yep, keen hearing is one of the best perks. Yeah, I got New World, but I know a whole bunch of people I was playing games with wanted to play, and I'm like, I expect this game to be underwhelming. So when I went into it, I had low expectations to begin with, but I was like, alright, you know, people seem to be having fun, sure, why not? So I wouldn't say it was a game that surprised me. It's like, okay, it's, you know, it's another MMO, you know, of this style. Like, MMOs are fine, but I've kind of played all the MMOs I can stand. Now, the specific problems that it ran into surprised me, because Amazon is a company that has a reputable amount of technical expertise, so the fact that so many of those things that were just common knowledge type stuff that got by, that surprised me. But I wouldn't say like I went into it, I was like, oh, like this game caught me entirely off guard, whatever. Yeah, no, for me it was the repetition was the thing that got me, where it's like, oh my god. Because all MMOs, unfortunately, when you boil down to, that have repetition, they'll have like their daily quests or everything. They'll either be grab the MacGuffin, kill the monster, escort the thing, you know, that kind of thing, or like hold the position, whatever. They have like a set number of quests, and that's fine. But, you know, you do those enough times, and it's like, okay, you're doing it in new games. Like, yeah, but it's the same thing I've done in all the other games. Could you please come up with something new? Now, the problem I ran into with New World is you didn't have like the escort quest, you didn't have like other ones, so you had like even less variety than you typically run into. I need more knives. So it's just even worse. Yeah, the amount of those like vulnerabilities that happened and just blew my mind. I'm like, you know, a lot, it's like, I'm not even a game dev, like a proper game dev, like, and I know half these vulnerabilities are getting hit. Like, these are solved problems in the industry where people are well aware of these problems. How are you just walking into this and not realizing it? Like, how do you do that? Like, I get if they have some new implementation, and as such it has some new vulnerability that no one's seen before. Sure, zero-day exploits happen. I gotcha. I'm not going to hold that against anyone. That happens. Especially when you start dealing with, like, memory management and all that kind of stuff. Sure, people figure out ways to memory inject all sorts of, you know, I say fun with sarcasm, all sorts of fun problems. But then you're like, oh yeah, like, packet swapping and all that kind of stuff. Like, that's been done forever.